That is a beautiful view. This is absolutely gorgeous. I'm in Flash, the highest village in the United Kingdom. When I say high, I don't mean they're all on drugs or anything like that. I mean in elevation. I'm in the Peak District. This is part of a series of videos I'm doing in the Peak District, and the views here are just stunning and incredible. We've taken a drive from our B&B, which is outside of the Peak District, and we've come into Flash, which is near Buxton, in Staffordshire, I understand. And then we've come to this very old village that is over 1,500 feet high. I'll tell you the exact figure when I get to the pub, and you'll see why in a minute. We've got these wonderful stone houses here, which I assume are grit stone. As we walk down this lane, there's not a lot here, but what there is rather beautiful in its own way, in its rugged way. That's the old smithy. These are all private dwellings now, and houses. The village, really, what it was, the farming community that it once was on this windswept moor, has obviously totally changed, like so many places in the UK, unfortunately. This building that you see in front of me as I walk towards it is actually for sale. It's an old Wesleyan Chapel, and just look at the size of it. Great big sturdy thing made out of this local stone, built here, I think it says 1784, for sale. No idea how much it is, but if you've got a lot of money, you could probably buy it if you wanted to be completely isolated up here on this rather windswept moor. Some beautiful looking houses here. There's the village farm. I can hear a tractor coming, so clearly farming still goes on. Oh, it's just rattled away in the distance. All this dry stone walling is rather magnificent. And of course I've come on a particularly good day, weather-wise. This is Billings Cottage here. And then beyond, the views again, looking down into the distance, are just exquisite. Quite what it's like in the winter, of course, is a different ball game. Here we go. Here is the pub, the New Inn it's called, and it says here it is 1,518 feet above sea level, I assume. And I imagine a lot of people come here for lunch, possibly, after they've been walking in the area, and I don't blame them. It's very quiet, very peaceful, and very beautiful. In another video, I'm going to take a walk with Kevin Hall and Sue Blout, who are my guides here, and we're going to take a walk down to, I believe it's called Leeds Chapel, but that's in another walk. But the walk starts very close to this. I'm going to go and have a look at the church, which is in this graveyard here, or churchyard here. It looks like it's been rebuilt several times. 1741 it says, and then again 1901. Of course, I don't know anything about this little area, not having been here before, so it's just interesting to explore it as a complete novice and simply make the observations as you go round. Look at these quite large gravestones, great slabs of this presumably local stone. And then here, quite a sombre church, I think, standing here on the top of the rise with its tower and very simple design. It's going through the graveyard. There's no actual footpaths here. It's all nice and slightly overgrown. And as I walk along, trying to avoid all the pitfalls in the floor, I can hear the bird song up here. And for a village with very few houses and barely any people wandering about, there's a huge number of gravestones. Let's see if I can get round to the other side, see what we see. I don't know if there's any renowned figures from history buried here. Probably just members of the local community, a lot of farmers no doubt. Very proud. It does look like it's a very proud village and community of old. There we go, look at that. It says, the memory of Jane, the wife of Thomas Naddon of Orchards, who died here on December the 10th, 1827, 59. Let's go and see if we can get inside the church and have a look inside. That's the outer door. Above me, obviously, the bell tower with this little bell rope up there. And then squeaky door. A beautiful, well kept, looked after and well respected church. And it's amazing to see it, really. Just take a walk down to the altar. Very wide, been rebuilt in the Victorian period. You've got this huge arch that separates the nave from the chancel, so everybody could be included. And then presumably those windows there, Victorian as well. As you come up here, we have perhaps the Ten Commandments back on the wall there, so that people are reminded of all the things that you should and shouldn't do. There's Christ up there on his cross. Great big organ behind me, which must have sounded fantastic in here, or must sound fantastic. And then looking back down into the nave, all those pews lined up with people who were God-fearing, ready to take the message. And I suppose more and more, the more isolated you are, the community, as you would be here on the Peak District, the more important the church and some authority would be, not only for your personal belief in God, but also, I think, to keep law and order, to have those Ten Commandments, to keep people basically behaving themselves. I think that would be a very important thing. And so the authority of the church up here, keeping that community going, and the priest, presumably, going around making sure that everybody was okay. You know, it's the old-fashioned way of what we now do as social service, I suppose. But yeah, all of this to impress upon you the importance of being a faithful and obedient servant. It's all quite incredible. Stepping out from the church, and just going to head down to the other end of the village along this road to get the final views, I suppose. There's not much here. Interesting to see the font inside the church there. Quite a small font. I guess just enough room to baptise the children who were born here. And then a photograph of the Flash Union Society, all dressed up in their big coats. So it shows it must have got cold up here, so exposed as it is. And then looking through the graveyard at the views in the far distance. The white building behind me says it's the old police station, which makes you wonder. There's probably a bobby in there at one time, and you just wonder what sort of crimes were reported in there. And then all around, which is of course so classic and archetypal, I suppose, of the Peak District, you've got this dry stone walling and all this rising, incredible rock formation covered with grass here and moorland and beautiful plants and wildlife. And then just on my left, this tiny little thing here that this vehicle go through is the Flash C of E Primary School. And again, you just wonder how many children are actually in there, because the one thing I certainly haven't noticed is any new builds in the area. I haven't really looked all the way around, but this is the main bit. It's just this village. I can't imagine that the likes of Mr. Barrett's Homes, or whoever, Mr. Wimpy, would want to buy a bit of land up here and fill it up with modern houses, but you never know. And then here, some livestock, some fascinating looking sheep, with this terrific view on this wonderful July day that we're filming in. Well, this is what I've come to see, really, very much so, in the Peak District, is to see these are sort of the tiny little quiet villages that are still there, basically farming communities. And I suppose, I don't know about here, but other communities must have been quarrying because the stone was valuable, but getting it to and from places from the middle of nowhere must have been a challenge for sure. And I don't know about mining this area. I know we've driven from where I've been staying in Tibshelf, which is more in Derbyshire. There's a lot more mining communities, so I don't think that's what's going on here. This is the drawback when you're on a bit of a tour and you're just making observations as you see it. But anyway, that's it for today. I hope it's been of some interest. Flash, the highest village in the UK, surrounded by the peaks of the Peak District, and we're lucky with no tourists apart from myself. So thank you for watching. We're going on a walk now, so we'll see you on the next one. Until then, don't forget to follow, like and subscribe, become a patron, help me get out and explore more of this incredible country that we have, and I'll see you on the next time. Don't forget to leave a comment as well. Till then, bye-bye.